Hello there. My name is Trinity, and I am on a mission to find fairy tales that I haven't heard before because I love them, but my exposure has been pretty limited. So, today we have another tale out of Africa. It is called Lion, Hare, and Hyena. Not gonna lie, I selected this entirely because the lion is named Simba. And, I mean, how can you not? So, okay, without further ado, Lion, Hare, and Hyena. Simba, a bachelor lion, lived alone in a cave. In his younger days, the solitude had not bothered him, but recently he had injured his leg so badly that he had not been able to hunt, and had begun to realize that companionship had its advantages. Things would have gone very badly for him if Sunguru, the hare, had not looked into his cave one day. Realizing that Simba was starving, Sunguru at once set about caring for the sick lion. Under the hare's careful nursing, Simba regained his strength until finally he was well enough to catch small game for the two of them to eat. Soon, quite a pile of bones had accumulated outside the entrance to the lion's cave. One day, old Nyangau, the hyena, while sniffing around in the hopes of scrounging something for his supper, caught the scent of bones. His nose led him to Simba's cave, but as the bones were too visible from the inside for him to safely steal, he decided that the only means of gaining possession of such tasty morsels for his dinner would be to make friends with Simba. Therefore, he crept up to the entrance of the cave and cleared his throat. "Who makes the evening hideous with such dreadful noise?" demanded Simba the lion, rising to his feet. It is I, your friend Nyangau," stammered the hyena, feeling what little courage he had begin to fade. I have come to tell you how much you have been missed by the people of the forest, and how greatly we are looking forward to your early return to good health." "Well, get out," growled the lion, "for it seems to me that a real friend would have inquired about my health long before this, instead of waiting until I can be of use to him once more. Get out, I say." The hyena darted off, his scruffy tail tucked between his bandy legs, and the insulting giggles of the hare ringing in his ears. But he could not forget the pile of tempting bones outside the lion's cave. "I will try again," said the hyena to himself a few days later. This time he made a point of visiting while the hare was away fetching water to cook the evening meal. "My friend," said Nyangau, "I am led to believe that the wound on your leg is not healing properly, thanks to the inferior treatment that you are receiving from your so-called friend Sunguru." "How dare you say such a thing?" snarled the lion. "It is thanks to Sunguru that I did not starve to death during the worst of my illness, while you never even showed your face." "Nevertheless, what I say is true. It is well known throughout the countryside that Sunguru is purposely giving you the wrong treatment to delay your recovery. Don't you realize that when you are well, he will lose his position as your housekeeper? And a very comfortable position for him it is, to be sure. I warn you, my friend, Sunguru is up to no good." At that moment, the hare returned from the river with his gourd full of water. "Well," he said to the hyena as he put down his load, "I did not expect to see you here again. Tell me, what do you want this time?" Simba turned to the hare. "I have been listening to Nyangau's tales about you. He tells me that you are renowned throughout the countryside for your skill as a healer. He also tells me that the medicines you prescribe are without rival, but he insists that you could have cured the wound upon my leg a long time ago, had it been in your best interest to do so. Is this true?" Sunguru thought for a moment. He must handle this situation with care, for he knew Nyangau was trying to trick him. "Well," he answered with some hesitation, "yes and no. You see, I am only a very small person, and sometimes the medicines that I require are very big, and I am unable to procure them, as, for instance, in your case, dear Simba." "What do you mean?" spluttered the lion, sitting up and leaning forward. "Just this," replied the hare. "I need the skin off the back of a full-grown hyena to place upon your wound before it can be completely healed." The lion sprang upon Nyangau before the surprised creature had time to get away, and, tearing a strip of skin off the foolish fellow's back from his head to his tail, clapped it at once upon the wound on his leg. As the skin came away from the hyena's back, the hairs that remained, firmly embedded in his flesh, not only stretched, but stood on end as well. Thus it is that to this day, Nyangau and his kind have long, coarse hairs sticking upon the crust of their misshapen bodies. Sunguru's fame as a doctor spread far and wide after this episode, for the wound upon Simba's leg healed without further trouble, although it was many weeks before the hyena had the courage to show himself in public again. The end. Okay, so this story was chosen because Simba the lion, obviously, but it actually has turned out to be one of my very favorites in this series so far, primarily because it values cleverness as a kid, a mixed kid growing up around mostly white people, I wasn't always super confident in how I looked on the outside in terms of, you know, meeting the ideals of society at large. But as a kid, I never ever doubted that I was smart. So, yeah, I really like that. Then let's see. Oh, I like that the general moral of this story is just don't ruin things for others. The hyena just couldn't let a good thing he wasn't involved in go, and would seemingly rather weasel in and or just ruin it for them. So that's a bummer, and I think that a lot of ills in our country and this area specifically could be fixed if people weren't so committed to ruining things for others. Uh, but yeah, and I did think it was kind of funny that the hyena was villainized in the story. I mean, I guess not funny because it's always been that way. But I learned at some point that if there were a dirtbag contest between lions and hyenas, the lions would definitely be the bigger dirtbags. Is like you see them around the same area with hyenas prowling around them because the hyenas have actually caught that food, and then once it's caught and down, the lion just shows up and scares off the hyenas, and just eats that. So that's why they're always just lying around in the sun. They really are just big cats. So sorry, hyena, but I do love a fairy tale that explains something in nature. Like, obviously, that's not how hyenas got their funny hair on their backs, but how cute is that? And now every time you see a hyena, you're just gonna be like, shouldn't have tried to mess things up for Sunguru the hare. And then just last thing, the personification of animal characters in this story really delights me, specifically in the line where they're talking about the lion Simba getting just well enough to hunt some small game for him and the hare Sunguru to eat. Sunguru as a hare is small game, and he's carrying a pot somehow. And I mean, you know, obviously if you look too far into anything, you'll ruin it. But I just thought that that was really cute. My mental image of a hare eating another hare out of a soup cauldron. It's probably not what they were going for, but that's what they got. So that's all I've got for you today. Like, comment, subscribe. Leave me a note down below if you loved it, if you hated it, if you have a suggestion for another story, anything at all. I just love to hear from you. So